Okay, idea gagasan Malaysia ialah konsep yang menggabungkan beberapa bekas jajahan British di Asia Tenggara. And this mostly happened before World War II. There's also other concepts that include like Melayu Raya. But as we all know, Melayu Raya failed. So, gagasan Malaysia is combining a lot of territories that were under British rule in Asia Tenggara. Sabah, Sarawak, Brunei, Singapore, and Tanah Melayu. So that is gagasan Malaysia. British wanted this. British brought this up in like during before World War II and also after, I think. Mereka mengemukakan idea penyatuan wilayah kerana memudahkan pentadbiran pihak British. It makes it easier for British to take over all of these territories if they were all under one group, all under one system. Because last time it was Tanah Melayu, Brunei, Sabah, Sarawak, Singapore. So they're all separate groups and run by separate owners. Like Borneo is SBUB and the Brooke family and so on. Gagasan Malaysia wanted to combine Sabah, Sarawak, Singapore, and Brunei in one group. In one kerajaan persekutuan. Okay, so how did the idea go? So at first, it was Lord Bracy, who was SBUB's pengarah, director. He said that he wants to combine Sabah, Sarawak, and NNS and Negeri Melayu to become one big tanah jajahan. And it is because it is very easy for them to take over the economy. For them to develop the economy in these areas. And then after World War II, this is before World War II, the next one is after World War II, Sir Malcolm Macdonald, which is the Governor General, he said that he wants to combine all of the British punya tanah jajahan under one entity. Why? Because it's easier for British to decolonize all of them together. Like if not, he has to do it if they don't do it, they have to do it one by one. Like Singapore first, Tanah Melayu first, Singapore then, after that Sabah and Sarawak, and then Brunei. But why not just put them all together and make them all independent at the same time? So it's easier for them to let those countries go. The reason why they have to let those countries go is because in the Piagam Atlantic, the Atlantic Treaty, they were told that they have to decolonize all of these areas. They have to memerdekakan semua kawasan tersebut, semua tanah jajahan. And then Sir Malcolm Macdonald and Dato' Onn Jaafar, who was UMNO's leader at the time, they had a discussion about combining Borneo, Singapore, and Tanah Melayu. But it wasn't ready yet. And then Sir Gerald Templar, after that, he wants them to combine faster. Why? Because that time Sarawak have communists. I think Sarawak have communists, and Singapore has communists also. So they want to do it faster because it's easier for them to handle the situation if they're all combined together. After that, in 1960, Sir Geoffroy Troy, he said that he wants to combine Singapore and Tanah Melayu because it's easier to develop the economy. Okay, penduduk tempatan. The first thing was Majalah Al-Imam. Majalah Al-Imam wants all of... because that time kan, we have NNMB and NNMTB, right? They weren't one group yet. So Majalah Al-Imam wants to combine all of Tanah Melayu punya kings and power and areas together under one rule. Next is Konsep Melayu Raya. So Konsep Melayu Raya is combining Tanah Melayu and Indonesia. And the main people were Ibrahim Haji Yaakob and Dr. Burhanuddin Al-Helmi. So it didn't work because Sukarno, who was Indonesia punya president, declared independence before Tanah Melayu. So Melayu Raya did never happen. But Tunku Abdul Rahman wants Singapore, Sarawak, Sabah, and Brunei to combine together with Tanah Melayu. And then Datuk Mustafa Datuk Harun, which is Sabah punya leader, he met with Tunku Abdul Rahman and they had a discussion about it. And then 1960, Tunku Abdul Rahman told Lord Perth that he wants to combine them together, and they started to get things going on. So rationale, why? Faktor, why do they want to combine all of these states together? Number one is ancaman is a factor keselamatan. So there are two communist movements, Singapore and Sarawak. Singapore one is there's a party, I forgot what the party was, Parti Komunis Singapura, I think. But yeah, this communist punya threat is threatening the safety of Tanah Melayu because Singapore and Tanah Melayu are very close. So if they make Singapore under Tanah Melayu, it'll be easier for Tanah Melayu to handle the problem, to solve the issue. Next is Sarawak. Same thing, but this one is British. British wants to solve the communist problem in Sarawak. So to make it easier, it's better to combine Tanah Melayu and Sarawak together. Next, because remember that Sarawak was under the Brooke family, a monarchy, and the recent punya monarch, I forgot what his name was, Charles Viner, he wasn't that good. So they can't trust him to handle the communist problem. So they want to combine Sarawak and Tanah Melayu together, so it is easier for them to handle the problem. I forgot when they gave up. I forgot when Viner Brooke lost his land, but if not, Sarawak was not it was pretty bad. It was pretty hard to handle the communist problem, but Tanah Melayu is already under the system for a very long time, so they're used to it. But Sarawak isn't, so they want Sarawak to be with Tanah Melayu, so it's easier for them to handle the problem. Okay, next is keseimbangan komposisi penduduk. Singapore is majority Chinese. Tanah Melayu is majority Malay. But if you put Singapore in, it will cause an imbalance between the people. So what do? They want to add Sabah and Sarawak, because Sabah and Sarawak are majority Bumiputra. So when you have majority Bumiputra, majority Chinese, and majority Malay, it's almost even. And Sabah and Sarawak also has more Malays than Singapore does, so that's another reason why. So yeah, it will cause it's easier for multiple races to work together than two races that are big go against each other. Because if there are like three big races, Malayu, China, India, it's easier for them to have racism than if there are multiple kaum and they are forced to live with every single race. Like Bumiputra, Sarawak, Bumiputra, orang asli, and so on. So this Sabah and Sarawak punya inclusion makes it easier for racism to be prevented more. Next is pembangunan wilayah. So it's easier to develop Sabah, Sarawak, and Brunei if they combine together with Tanah Melayu and Singapore. Because Singapore is already quite advanced, but Sabah and Sarawak were kind of meh. Okay, how did they react? How did the people react, and how did the other countries react? So first of all was Tanah Melayu. Tanah Melayu were okay with it. That's it. Because Tunku Abdul Rahman is UMNO's leader, and everyone likes UMNO, so everyone likes Malaysia. Next is Sarawak. Sarawak had a few people that support, go against, and then change their minds. So support is Berdasa, Panas, Pesaka, and SCA. Menentang is SUP and SNAP. So SUP, SUPP, and SNAP are the ones that didn't like this idea. But how about menentang kemudian menyokong? So they changed their minds. SNAP changed their minds. Last time they went against Malaysia, but then after a while they were like, it's not that bad after all. So they joined the people who menyokong. So Panas, SNAP, Berdasa, SCA, and Pesaka, they combined together to form PPS, Parti Perikatan Sarawak. And every single party that supported Malaysia, they combined together to form Sarawak Alliance. But I normally ask more about PPS lah. Sabah one was a bit weird because Sabah punya penduduk were a bit more clueless. Like, why are we combining with other countries when we're already not that bad? Like, situasi di Sabah tidak begitu teruk. Contohnya, Sabah sedang berkembang dalam kegiatan perdagangan manakala sistem perkhidmatan awam semakin baik. Penduduk pula bebas menjalankan kegiatan harian mereka. Sementara itu, kehadiran pasukan tentera British menjamin keselamatan mereka. So, if I was too fast, what I was saying is, Sabah's economy was pretty okay already. And then Sabah's transport system was also okay already. Sabah's Sabah punya infrastructure, like their bus, their like transportation, their economy and stuff. They were having a pretty happy life, and British were there to protect them. So they felt safe. They felt like they didn't have to do anything. But but the pemimpin, they want to bergabung or they don't want to bergabung. So first of all, who supported Unko, Usno, Pasok Momogun, and SCA. Pasok Momogun became UPCO, which we will mention later. But ASNO is the main party. Because ASNO's leader was Datuk Mustafa Datuk Harun. And if you remember earlier, Datuk Mustafa Datuk Harun personally met Tunku Abdul Rahman to tell him, I want to join Sabah. So he is the person behind the whole movement. So Unko, Usno, Pasok Momogun, and SCA, they all agreed to this. And then Sabah Alliance was formed, and it was comprised of Unko, Usno, United Pasok Momogun, which is UPCO, and Democratic Party, and SIC. How about the parties that went against Malaysia in Sabah? I'll do the first of all, the reason why is some pemimpin and some penduduk, they go against because they want to have independence by themselves. They don't want to be independent with Tanah Melayu. Number one. And they basically want to form their own like territory lah, like Borneo only or Sabah only. They don't want to combine with Tanah Melayu. They felt like it was a weird idea to do so. Number two, Sabah punya people think that Tanah Melayu is not related enough to them. Like Filipina, like some of them think like it's better for them to be part of Philippines than it is to be part of Tanah Melayu. Because they don't speak Malay. Here's the thing. Orang Sabah dan Sarawak pada masa dahulu tidak bertutur dalam bahasa Melayu. Mereka bertutur dalam bahasa tempatan dan bahasa Inggeris. They were speaking in English and whatever they were speaking with their family. They were not Malay. They don't speak Malay. So why combine with Tanah Melayu who speaks Malay? With that, why don't I just combine with Philippines? Because Philippines speak Filipino, and some people here can speak Filipino as well. Why? Why not do that instead? So people were having those thoughts. They think that Tanah Melayu is too far away. It's too different from them. And then like, why bother and try and get used to everything that they already have there? Like they already have elections, they already have their own government and so on. Why do that? Why not just stay in British and wait until we get our own turn? Why just follow them? So that's what they thought. Because of this, some people combined together, some groups combined together. United Front. United Front was comprised of SUPP, just from Sarawak, Parti Rakyat Brunei, and UNCO. But UNCO decided like, yeah, I'm okay with it. So they pulled out of United Front because they were like, okay with Malaysia already. So yeah, UPSUP punya leader was Ong Ki Hui, and Brunei punya leader is AM Azahari. But AM Azahari we'll get to in the Brunei point. But yeah, basically these three parties they went against, but UNCO was like, yeah, I changed my mind, and then they left. How about Singapore? Singapore is more democratic. So People's Action Party, which is Lee Kuan Yew punya party, they were like, yeah, let's just join Malaysia. But some other people, they think it's a pretty good idea, but they think that it wasn't possible to do so. They feel like it's a bit too much of a stretch. But some people want to do it because it gives opportunities for them to develop their economy. Because if they have access to Tanah Melayu, Sabah and Sarawak, they can ship to other countries more. That's the mindset back then. It's like, it's easier to trade with Tanah Melayu punya country, punya state and so on. Who menentang? Parti Rakyat Singapura menentang. If I remember correctly, I think they are communists. Was it Barisan Socialists? They were communists. But Lee Kuan Yew supported it because that time, as we know earlier, Singapore has a communist problem. So if they combine, then they can take care of the communist problem. So Barisan Sosialis menentang kerana menganggap pembentukan Malaysia sebagai penjajahan baharu. They feel like if Malaysia is formed, it is just Tanah Melayu taking over them. So they're not actually independent. It's just another country taking over them. So they don't like it. But they were like, you know what? No matter what, let's just see what the other people think. Both of them said, let's just see what the rakyat think, and we just follow what they say. So yeah, even though they have their own opinions, they don't force it down the people's throats. They are like, you guys can say whatever you want, and you'll just follow whatever they say. So that's why Singapore is pretty good at handling the situation. How about Brunei? Brunei at first was okay with it. No, not okay with it. They want to join. The Sultan of Brunei wanted to join Malaysia. And actually Brunei were like, okay, it's not a bad idea, so let's just join Malaysia. But then they only wanted to join because they could gain independence faster. That was it. They didn't really care about joining Malaysia because of the Tanah Melayu stuff. They were like, yeah, if we join Malaysia, we'll get independence. And yeah, Sultan Brunei, he likes the idea because Brunei has a lot of Malays, so it makes sense, right? But A.M. Azahari, we're like, nope, you all are wrong. Don't join Malaysia. And why did he think this way? Why did he say don't join Malaysia? Number one, he thinks that Malaysia is just another way for British to take over Brunei. Similar to how the Barisan Socialists think that it is a penjajahan baharu. This one is it is a way for British to have. They don't have power anymore because remember the kolonisasi. But if they join Malaysia, Malaysia will still have to have British punya help. So British will still have power over them in one way. So they think that this is another way for British to show that they still control Malaysia, even though Malaysia and Brunei, even though they're already independent. They want to spread out their powers more, even though they are leaving already. Yeah, and why does he think this is bad? Because if they have so much power, like if British is still involved in Malaysia punya stuff, then British can easily control the economy. And number two, Brunei is very rich in stuff. Their king is very, very rich. So if they were to join Malaysia, A.M. Azahari thinks that Brunei will lose all its money. So yeah. How about negara jiran? What do they think about this? Indonesia they were okay with it, but then in the end they fought back. We'll get more to that later. Filipinas President Macapagal, he didn't want it because he wants Sabah. As I said earlier, Sabah is quite related to Filipinos. So Macapagal wants Sabah and doesn't want Malaysia to take Sabah away. Thailand were like, yeah, good idea. Good idea. Yeah, this is what they said lah. They didn't really care. They were like, it's a good idea. Okay, how do they create Malaysia? Like, what is the steps to form Malaysia? So they have to do Siri Lawatan. So Tunku Abdul Rahman went to Sarawak and Brunei first, and then the Sabah punya leaders went to Persekutuan Tanah Melayu to see how their stuff are, like how is their development. So those Sabah punya leaders, they went to Tanah Melayu to see how are they right now. And then Tunku Abdul Rahman went to Sarawak and Sabah to explain to them also like what is their plan and so on. And then Dr. Burhanuddin Al-Hilmi and Ghaffar Baba, which are Tanah Melayu punya people, they came to Sarawak and Sabah, and the same thing. It's the same reason why they came as Tunku Abdul Rahman. They want to explain to the ahli politik what actually comes out from this thing. Like why do we want to combine? Is it good for us and so on? They want to explain all of those stuff to the penduduk. Yeah, not penduduk. They want to explain all of those stuff to the pemimpin. So not only is people coming from Sarawak from Tanah Melayu to Sarawak or Sabah, but people are coming from Sabah and Sarawak to Tanah Melayu to understand the idea more. Because unlike Singapore is under British rule. They know how it feels like to be next to Tanah Melayu. But Sabah and Sarawak, as you know, they are new. They are like, what are we doing? So Tunku Abdul Rahman came to explain to them what they're doing and why is it so good and why they should join Malaysia. Okay, next is JSKM. So JSKM was formed, and they had meetings together. Why did they want JSKM? Number one, they want to convince Sabah and Sarawak that Malaysia is a good idea. Number two, they want to try and discuss more about how Malaysia should be formed. Number three, they want to see what people think about Malaysia. Number four, they want to spread good info about Malaysia. And number five, they want to make Malaysia form faster. And they want to do stuff that will make Malaysia more successful. So yeah, basically JSKM's function is to make Malaysia more of a reality lah. Untuk merealisasikan idea Malaysia. They want to make sure that this thing actually happens. So the leader of them was Donald Stephens, and I believe another member is Dato' Mustafa, Dato' Harun. But yeah, in the end, like yeah, at first they were like thinking, do we actually join or do we not? But in the second meeting they were like, yeah, we should join. So yeah, dalam mesyuarat kedua, JSKM membuat keputusan untuk menyokong rancangan Malaysia. So yeah, this JSKM is very important because it helps the people understand better what is Malaysia and why is it so good. So they are the people that help to explain it to them. Okay, next langkah is referendum Singapura. So remember that the Party Socialist, they were like Barisan Socialist, they were like, yeah, let's see what the people say about it. So the government, no, the parties held a referendum. Okay, so at first they had a meeting, like Singapore and Tanah Melayu punya leaders, they had a meeting, a debate, and they were like, yeah, let's see what the people say. So they had a referendum, and Singapore punya people, Singaporeans, they were like, yeah, let's join Malaysia. They agreed. They wanted to join Malaysia. So because of that, then Singapore can finally join Malaysia without any backlash. Rundingan London. I think Tunku Abdul Rahman went to London and debated with the people in England to like try and help them with Malaysia, with trying to help them with Malaysia. So what happened? They agreed that there should be Suruhanjaya. There should be I forgot what it's called. Suruhanjaya. A commission, yeah, a committee. So they both agreed. They were like, yeah, we should make a committee to see what happens. So what is this committee? Suruhanjaya Cobalt. So they had a meeting in London, and then from the meeting they agreed, okay, let's make Suruhanjaya Cobalt. So Suruhanjaya Cobalt's main function is to see what Sabah and Sarawak punya people are saying. I hope that's understandable. Yeah, they want to see what Sabah and Sarawak punya people are saying. Yeah. So the leader was Ahli Cobalt, Lord Cobalt, and then they have members. And this committee, they visited 35 locations and asked people what they think about it. And then after that, they came up with their report, and they were like, oh, they support Malaysia, and they think that the rules should remain the same. They think that penambakan persekutuan from 6 years ago, 1957, they think that they should keep it and change a little bit only, instead of making a completely new set of rules. And lastly, they want to give extra powers and some extra handicap or jaminan khas to Sabah and Sarawak, because Sabah and Sarawak do not speak Malay, right? So they want to give like a few handicaps to make it easier for them to get used to Malaysia. And Sabah and Sarawak punya extra power, we call it kuasa autonomy. This kuasa autonomy from Sabah and Sarawak cannot be cancelled by Kerajaan Persekutuan unless Sabah and Sarawak punya government agree to do so. What that means is, if Sabah and Sarawak want to if the kerajaan wants to remove the autonomy from Sabah and Sarawak, they can't unless Sabah and Sarawak say they want to. Next is pembentukan JAK, Jawatan Kuasa Antara Kerajaan. So JAK is to draft the rules and try and find out how to defend Sabah and Sarawak punya rights. Because Sabah and Sarawak punya rights can be a bit different. Because Sabah and Sarawak is not tanah Melayu. They are built differently. So JK is to try and make make a new draft of rules which is based on Perlembagaan Persekutuan and try and make it more suitable with Sabah and Sarawak. So they have 5 small departments: Perlembagaan, Kewangan, Perkhidmatan Awam, Perundangan dan Kehakiman, and Organisasi Jabatan. The rest I'm not gonna mention much, I guess, other than Lord Lansdowne was the leader. And what they did is they added 18 rules for Sarawak and 20 rules for Sabah. But and these rules help to make sure that Sabah and Sarawak punya hak istimewa is also there, same as orang Melayu. So what is the things that they added? Number 1, Sabah and Sarawak punya agama rasmi is not Islam, at least for the first few years. I think Sarawak is changed already, but Sabah still not yet, from what I heard. I think Sarawak also haven't yet. But the thing is, right, yeah. Islam is the main religion for Semenanjung. But in Sabah and Sarawak, at that time, no. Because Sabah and Sarawak were, as you said, they were not Malay. They didn't have many Muslims. They were either Christians or have their own beliefs. Next is Bahasa Melayu is Bahasa Rasmi Persekutuan Malaysia, but English is used as well. Because remember, English, people there don't speak BM. They speak English and their own language. So for a few years, I think it was 10 years, they agreed to give Sabah time to adjust and make English and BM the official language for both. And then number 3, they let Sabah and Sarawak have their own education system for a while until they can change it after they get used to the syllabus. Yeah, and so for a few years they have a different syllabus, but then after a few years they will change. And then Parliament Malaysia got the seats, and immigration rights, like how do people handle immigration? So in Semenanjung, Kerajaan Persekutuan handles immigration, but in Sabah and Sarawak they do it themselves. Okay, Perjanjian Julai and Peristiwa Pengisytiharan Malaysia. So they had this agreement, we call it Perjanjian Malaysia or MA63, and it was signed by British, PTM, Sabah, Sarawak, and Singapore. And it was signed by Yang di-Pertuan Agong and the Queen of England. So, what are the main points of this agreement? Number 1, the supposed Independence Day was on 31st August. Number 2, Sabah and Sarawak and Singapore will be part of Malaysia. Number 3, British will say that Sabah and Sarawak and Singapore are in Malaysia, so that means they will become independent. Number 4, Sabah and Sarawak can have their own parliament. Number 5, they have time to adjust, like 10 years, I think. Number 6, Singapore, Sarawak, and Sabah got parliament seats. And number 7, Bumiputra has equal rights to orang Melayu. Okay, next page. Now, Indonesia was not happy and they told the United Nations or PBB that what ah they made an official request to oppose or to deny, to go against, untuk menentang, membantah pembentukan Malaysia. What they say is they accuse British of doing some sus things. I forgot what the sus things are. Oh yeah, they mentioned it in the last part. But yeah, because of this, they had to the United Nations, the UN, they had to like go and check, like investigate, and when they finished the investigation, they said, yeah, nothing's wrong. Malaysia can be Malaysia can go on. But the problem is, they finished their report on 14 September, 14 days after their supposed day of independence. So even though they were supposed to be independent on the 31st, they changed it to the 16th because the laporan wasn't done yet. But yeah, after the 14th, they announced that there is no problem. Sabah and Sarawak can join Malaysia. Okay, so how did it go? Okay, this is the pengisytiharan. Kuala Lumpur is YDP Air, Sarawak is Datuk Abang Haji Openg, and Sabah is Datuk Mustafa Datuk Harun as the first TYT. Or Yang di-Pertuan Negeri at the time lah. Okay, how about konfrontasi dan usaha menangani? So, Indonesia was not happy. At first they were okay, but then they were not happy. Why? Because Tunku Abdul Rahman accused Indonesia that of joining RANS, like joining they accused Indonesia of trying to ruin Malaysia. So Indonesians got mad and they said, yeah, I guess we are now. So Partai Komunis Indonesia, which is the Communist Party in Indonesia, they said that this Malaysia plan is just a way for British to have control over them. We call it Dasar Neo-Colonialisme, which is British is not actively having them as their territory, but British has influence, which means like everything that Malaysia does, British will help them. So that is called Neo-Colonialisme, which is they don't have actual power, but then they help so much that the country depends on them. So technically, in reality, they are under British. So Indonesia says that this Malaysia thing is just to make British have power over Sabah and Sarawak and Singapore more. So yes, at first Dr. Subandrio, he announced that they are against Malaysia because it threatens Indonesia. I don't know how, but it threatens Indonesia. And then they had this dasar konfrontasi, which is like they confront the people in Tanah Melayu, and then they use the slogan Ganyang Malaysia, or Malaysia is destroyed, or destroy Malaysia. And then Indonesia had some guerrilla attacks, and yeah, okay. The first ever attack was at Tebedu in Sarawak. And then there was a gunfire in Kalabakan. And then there was a guerrilla attack, I think, in Labis, which is in Johor. And then after that, Dr. Ismail Abdul Rahman, even if Indonesia uses war against them, like they keep shooting bullets and like using war, the people in Malaysia, like the politicians, the pemimpin, they were like, we're not going to go all out. We're not going to go to war with them. We're going to use diplomacy. Mereka akan menggunakan dasar diplomatik. They will use the diplomatic way to solve this problem. They will not fight fire with fire. They will fight fire with water. So like even though Indonesia is trying to get them to fight back, Malaysia just held back and said, nope, we're not doing anything. So yeah, they kept doing this until they successfully did it. So they had a strategy. They had a way to try and solve the problem through diplomacy. So what do we have to do? they have to try and convince everyone that Malaysia is not a plan for British to do something stupid. And they have to try and convince other countries that that is the idea as well, especially Indonesia and Philippines lah. So at first, U Tan, which is the Setiausaha Agong, the vice president, oh no, vice secretary, prime secretary, he told his guy, CV Narasimhan, to try and debate with Indonesia and PTM about the whole Malaysia thing. And then Makapagal had a meeting with Muhammad Ghazali Shafi'i and in Manila. And then number 3, Soekarno invited Tunku Abdul Rahman to meet in Tokyo. And Tunku Abdul Rahman is trying to convince Soekarno that Malaysia is actually not that bad. Number 4, Tunku Abdul Razak went to Manila to try and discuss about the whole Malaysia thing. And Dr. Subandri was also there. Number 5, Tunku Abdul Rahman, Soekarno, and Makapagal all had a meeting to discuss more about Malaysia. And then in the end of the meeting, they said that Tunku Abdul Rahman said that Soekarno and Makapagal are okay with it now. They said that they accept the fact that Malaysia will be formed and that they shouldn't fight back. So yeah, again, Tunku Abdul Rahman met with Soekarno and Makapagal, and what he got from that is he's trying to convince those two that they should let Sabah and Sarawak go and form they should accept the fact that Malaysia will be formed, because Sabah and Sarawak actually want to be in Malaysia. Number 6, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Philippines debate again. This time in Bangkok and Tokyo, and Thailand was also involved in this. Number 7, Soekarno stopped becoming president, and instead Suharto became the president. But Suharto, he's supporting Malaysia. He's like, actually Malaysia isn't that bad. He thought. So he told Tunku Abdul Rahman that he wants to end it because he doesn't actually care about Malaysia. So General Suharto, he chose a few of his workers, I guess, his wakil, to go and talk to Malaysia, or to go and talk to Tunku Abdul Rahman punya people, and end it once and for all. So on 4 August, 3 years later, Indonesia said, "Yep, I guess Malaysia isn't that bad anymore." I guess Malaysia isn't that bad after all. So in the end, they end their confrontation, and then Tunku Abdul Rahman signed a deal, an agreement, which is called Persetujuan Normalisasi Hubungan Indonesia dan Malaysia. I forgot what's the other name. Or Perjanjian Bangkok. So either call it Perjanjian Persetujuan Normalisasi Hubungan Indonesia Malaysia, or Perjanjian Bangkok. So the agreement is basically no fighting together. Indonesia is Indonesia, Malaysia is Malaysia lah. So in the end, even though Indonesia used to fight back, like they say that Malaysia shouldn't be a thing, because Malaysia was so good at handling the problem, when Suharto and when Soekarno finally got replaced, Suharto's like, yeah, I actually think that Malaysia is a good thing, and I'm not going to fight against Malaysia. So in the end, he told them, yeah, let's just end this once and for all. And in the end, I guess everyone is happy. The end. How to scroll down.